Betty. Welcome to my kitchen.
What better thing to do on a gloomy, rainy day than bake a really delicious cookie? The one I want to share with you today is called Skibo Castle Ginger Crunch. And the story is, there was an Irish cook working at Skibo Castle who came up with this. Skibo Castle is located in the northeastern part of Scotland and was originally owned by Andrew Carnegie. And I have varied the recipe from the original. The original called for baking it in a 9x13 pan, which created something that was so thin I couldn't work with it. And as the title implies, it contains ginger, and yet I found it just needed a little more kick. So I've added some chopped crystallized ginger to it. So here are the ingredients. We have 1.25 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon ground ginger, a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of crystallized ginger that's chopped as finely as I could do it. In addition to that, we have 4 ounces of butter, which I've cubed. There's no fancy equipment involved in making this cookie. It's done a very old-fashioned way, all with your hands. So first, I'm going to stir all of these dry ingredients into my flour. The sugar, the ginger, the baking powder, the salt, and the ginger. And I'll just give that a stir to get them well mixed. So after that, I'll drop in my butter, which is very cold, by the way. I cubed this earlier and stuck it back in the fridge to make sure it was ice cold. And I'll separate these to get them all coated with flour. And there we go. And then just start flaking it out, rubbing it between my fingers with the flour. And we'll continue this process until it's well combined. This is much like making shortbread. This is a 2-part cookie, incidentally. We're going to make the shortbread base, and then we're going to make a toffee-like topping. It's quite sweet. As you'll see, I cut it in very small pieces, and it's an absolutely wonderful thing to have after dinner with a cup of espresso. Just like our Italian-Scottish household, it's a terrific combination. That's just about ready to go into the pan. I'm not seeing any big lumps of butter. Unlike if we were making southern biscuits or Scottish scones, we're not looking for flakiness here. It's just a shortbread cookie base. And that's pretty good. It's just starting to hold together. Now that I've got this all mixed, I'm going to just pour it into my pan. It's an 8-inch square pan that I've lined with foil. I'm using a non-stick foil. If you're using just regular foil, you'll want to butter it lightly. And I'm just going to get that spread out fairly evenly before I start pressing it down. You want to press it down quite firmly. Make sure it's in at all the corners and as even as you can get it. We're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. You want to check on it and take it out when it's just a light brown. Ovens vary, so it's a good thing to check it.
So the base of our cookie is going to bake at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes.
While the cookie is baking, I've got the ingredients ready for the topping. And they are a cup of confectioner's sugar, half a teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and a tablespoon of Lyle's syrup. This is Lyle's golden syrup. It's a British product, and I find it in my local supermarket. But if you can't find that, you can substitute light corn syrup. I've also got 6 tablespoons of butter ready in my pan to melt. And as soon as the cookie comes out of the oven, we'll be ready to make the topping and pour it on top of the baked cookie. All right, the base for our cookie is done, and I've just started melting the butter to make the topping. Once that's all melted, I will add the rest of the ingredients. And there we go. So in goes our golden syrup. As much of that as we can. Our vanilla. Half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of ground ginger. And our cup of confectioner's sugar. I'll turn the heat up a little. Just going to stir this and mix it until it comes to a boil. And once it boils, I'm going to let it simmer for about 30 seconds. All right, the mixture has just started to boil, and now I'm going to time this for 30 seconds or so, and then I'll be pouring it over the base of the cookie. It's important to keep stirring this topping the whole time you're cooking it. And there go my 30 seconds. And we're just going to pour this right over. Okay. Just grab my mitts, and I'm going to tilt this to make sure that topping gets in all the corners. That looks just about perfect. And we're going to let that cool completely and then cut it into serving size pieces. Our cookie has cooled, and now it's ready to be cut into serving pieces. The nice part about lining your pan is that this lifts out beautifully and makes it very easy to cut into neat squares. Just open this up. So what I'm going to do is cut it down the center. And then I'm going to cut each part into thirds. As I said, this is a sweet cookie, so I want the pieces quite small. If you use a good sharp knife, you'll see you get nice, clean cuts. Oh, that's cutting beautifully. I'll just move one of these little bars down. And I'm going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. Cut each one into thirds. And there we go. And there you have it. A really lovely cookie, almost a petit four. Lovely to serve with after-dinner coffee or afternoon tea. Enjoy. If you'd like more information about some of our other recipes, please go to my website at bettyskitchenfare.com.